Surrendering the resistance, identifying and releasing our fight against reality. The wise one knows, I am formless, I am boundless, I am untouched by the senses, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect. I am unattached and free, the witness of all things. All suffering arises from arguing with what is. When you resist reality, you create friction and pain. When you accept reality, you create space for clarity and peace. Identify where you are saying no to life. And in that recognition lies the opportunity to surrender the resistance that creates your suffering. The Master sees things as they are, without trying to control them. She lets them go their own way and resides at the center of being. By letting go of all concepts and judgments, the Master can see the essence of everything. What you resist persists. What you embrace transforms. This paradoxical truth reveals that the way out is through. The very resistance that is meant to protect you from pain actually prolongs and intensifies it. The courageous act is to open to what you have been fighting against. The wise see that there is action in the midst of inaction, and inaction in the midst of action. Their consciousness is unified, and every act is done with complete awareness. Having abandoned attachment to the fruits of their action, always content, dependent on no one. They do nothing at all, even when engaged in action. The sage sees that all resistance is futile, for what is destined to be will be, despite all protest. Therefore, wisdom lies not in fighting against the current of life, but in aligning with its flow, even when it carries you to places you would not choose to go. In this alignment, you discover freedom within destiny. Resistance creates tension in the body, agitation in the mind, and and separation in the heart. Notice where you are contracting against experience, where you are saying, this should be happening, this should not be happening. And in that noticing, feel the possibility of letting go. Surrender is not giving up, but waking up to the wisdom of acceptance. Wisdom is knowing I am nothing. Love is knowing I am everything. And between the two, my life moves. To see the universe as it is, you must step beyond the net of space and time. There is nothing to practice to know yourself. Just be yourself. The warrior fights with all his might, but the sage surrenders with all his wisdom. The path of resistance is the path of the ego, always struggling to shape life according to its desires. The path of surrender is the path of the self, recognizing the perfection within what already is. The source of suffering is not pain itself, but the mind's resistance to pain. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Between the stimulus of discomfort and the response of suffering lies the space of awareness, in which you can choose surrender rather than resistance, acceptance rather than rejection. Inside each of us is a natural state of ease, of poise, of balance, of grace. This state is available to you when you release your grip, when you surrender the struggling and striving, when you stop trying to rearrange the universe to fit your preferences. It is always there, beneath the surface of resistance, waiting for you to come home to yourself. There are two ways to wash a dish. One is to wash it in order to make it clean. The other is to wash it in order to wash the dish. The first way, you are fighting against what is the dirty dish. The second way, you are surrendering to what is the washing. In this surrender, you discover the joy that exists in the heart of even the most ordinary activities. Look deeply into your resistance, and you will find fear. Fear of pain, fear of loss, and fear of the unknown. Behind these fears is the fundamental fear of ego death, the dissolution of separate self. Yet what the ego fears most is precisely what the soul seeks: the surrender of the limited identity into the boundless self. In this surrender lies the freedom you have been seeking all along. True surrender happens when you no longer ask, "Why is this happening to me?" And you start asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" In this shift, resistance begins to dissolve, for you are no longer fighting against life, but opening to its wisdom. You become a willing student rather than a reluctant victim. And in this willingness lies the beginning of freedom. The ego resists, the heart accepts. The ego contracts, the heart expands. The ego fears, the heart loves. Notice which voice governs your response to life, the voice of resistance or the voice of surrender. This awareness itself begins to dissolve the grip of resistance. Surrender is not a one-time event, but a moment-by-moment choice. Each time resistance arises, you have a new opportunity to recognize it and let it go. This practice is not about achieving some perfect state of acceptance, but about developing the awareness to notice resistance and the willingness to choose surrender again and again. We suffer because we desire life to be different than it is. Identify your demands upon reality, the explicit and the implicit musts that create inner tension when they collide with what is. These demands are not truths, but beliefs. And beliefs can be released when seen clearly. In their release, natural harmony with life emerges. Beneath all your striving and resisting, beyond all your efforts to improve and control, there exists an unshakable peace, an unwavering love, a boundless freedom that is your natural estate. You need not achieve it through struggle, for it is already what you are. Rest in this truth and let all resistance dissolve in the recognition of your inherent wholeness and perfection. May these teachings on surrendering resistance guide you to the peace that comes with acceptance. Remember that beneath all struggle lies the perfect wholeness that you already are. Thank you for your presence.